I think Mom and I were camping, and this was around 1977, 78, and I had bought a copy of Raymond Patterson's book, The Dangerous River, and I gave it to Mom and I asked her to read it. I had long had this dream of building a cabin and spending the winter there, and after she had read it, then I asked her if she would like to try and duplicate it.
And I feel like there was one other aspect of that ask.
Oh, and if she would like to get married.
That would have been 1977 because we married in 78 and it took a year to prepare to go.
We loaded up the car in Kingston and drove all the way up to Watson Lake in the Yukon. We met a family who owned BC Yukon Airlines, and that's where Ray flew us into the South Nahanni River.
Over a couple of mountain ranges, so very far away from anybody.
I didn't think about this as being isolated. I thought this was an opportunity to have a great adventure. But when that first night we landed, we unloaded the aircraft, so 2,000 pounds of food and equipment, and I remember thinking, what the heck have I done?
It's that same feeling that you have when you've been with people and then suddenly they all leave. It's quiet. It's just us. It's going to be different now. And that is something I've even felt during this pandemic, is you had to put some form into your day that was going to make you excited. We felt we had 2 weeks to arrive, settle in, and 6 weeks to build a cabin.
We were in this stand of giant spruce, and we knew that if we dropped this one that way and this one that way, we'd have the 2 base logs to start building the cabin. Once we had those plans starting to come into place, I think that's when we started to feel a little bit more confident that this thing was actually going to work. Once we got the cabin built, then we started to build furniture inside. You know, being able to sleep in a cabin and get up and wash your hands in a sink and have a home was our first home. You know, it was exciting. And it gave us an opportunity to explore the South Nahanni River Valley. That's what we wanted to do. We discovered a hot spring. We got to go in the canoe and track upriver, and we got a chance to go hike in the mountains.
The meadow above Bellona Creek Canyon, you know, it just was absolutely mind-boggling how beautiful it was. Being cabin bound was not something that we were hot-wired to be doing and enjoying. We knew we'd have to work on being very disciplined in the winter.
Two things in the winter. There's no direct sunlight on the cabin from November to February. So that's number one. Number two is just how terribly cold it was. We knew it was going to go down to -50, and we were prepared for that. But it just, you realize that you have very limited time during the day when you can go out and interact with the environment.
I knew that cooking and baking was going to keep me going. I was going to enjoy that daily process. You know, 2 loaves of bread every day. We would have muffins and desserts and pies and tarts.
Yeah.
And I like to use, for example, a new bowl and a new spoon every time I do something different. I would let dishes mound, and John was primarily the dishwasher and was noticing this mound was getting quite high. So yeah, we switched duties up for a change of scene. Day 120. The day started out smoothly enough. I was up first to refill the firebox while John smothered his face in a pillow, trying to stifle the urge to correct my unorthodox techniques. I ignored him and continued laying the split pieces of dry wood on top of the bed of twigs and paper. Meanwhile, John tore around the kitchen like a human cyclone, trying to find the missing ingredients he sought for breakfast preparation. We were beginning our new routine for kitchen duties, another strategy to fight cabin fever. If breakfast was bad, no words can describe the dinner hour. Every dish in the house was dirty. I finished the cleanup without saying a word, and we went our separate ways. Hours ticked away with nothing said. The cabin was like a tomb. "You want to talk?" I asked meekly. "What's there to talk about? You've been mad at me since breakfast. It isn't all my fault. You started it." "No one started it," I shouted. Before John could yell back, I continued, trying to speak calmly. "Look, I'm not blaming you, but something's bothering me. Why did you use every dish in the house for breakfast and dinner when you've been telling me I shouldn't? So that's what's wrong. Can we go back to our old routine?" I said, almost pleadingly. John came over and sat on the bed beside me. "Sure, I hate cooking more than I do cleaning up." I'd forgotten all about that, actually. You know, after 42 years of being married, we know where that line is, that cutoff line is. When you're in isolation, you've got to be even more careful about that. When our environment changes, we change, and it's a moment to look back and reflect.
We were going down river every day.
Every day.
On the ice, walking down to see if the river had broken up. We couldn't leave until the ice broke. You know, the day that we went down and there was this 6-foot wide river that seemed to give us a chance to go. That's when we came back and put everything, the 6 weeks of supplies in the canoe and put it in the water.
You know, we were very proud of what we had pulled off. And a lot of people probably didn't think we would pull it off. And at times, maybe deep down, we didn't believe it. You know, it's, I don't know. But I do know that for several times in that following year, I'd have a flashback of that scene of looking back on the cabin. One of the first things my father said to me, he says, "Joe, you can do anything now." And it's true. That's how we felt.